What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Sunday, February 4th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 7-game NBA slate here tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. All right, so here's a sleeper pick. I like Reggie Jackson from the Denver Nuggets playing the Portland Trailblazers, who have the 6th worst defense overall, give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Reggie Jackson averaging 21.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 23 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 21.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's only $4,000 DraftKings salary, $1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 220 points scored in this game. Reggie Jackson has scored 18, 28, and 20 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 24, 29, and 20 minutes. So I like Reggie Jackson here versus the Portland Trailblazers. And Reggie Jackson, he scored 3 out of his last 5 games. He put up over 30 fantasy points. And he did have a game where he put up 54 fantasy points here versus the Trailblazers. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Buddy Hield from the Indiana Pacers playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 5th worst defense overall, give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Buddy Hield averaging 23.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 25.2 fantasy points here tonight, just about 5 times value. He's $5,100 DraftKings salary, $900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 239.5 points scored in this game. Buddy Hield has scored 34, 12, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 27, and 36 minutes. And I like this pick because Buddy Hield scored 44, 35, 28, 28, and 35 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Hornets. So he would have returned 5 times value at this price tag all of his last 5 games versus the Hornets. So I like Buddy Hield here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. So I like Paul George and Jimmy Butler. Both around the same price, both projected out about the same. And out of the two, though, I think I like Paul George from the LA Clippers playing the Miami Heat, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Paul George averaging 39.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 27% usage rate. He's projected at 38 fantasy points here tonight, just about 5 times value, $7,700 DraftKings salary, $500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 226 points scored in this game. Paul George scored 43 fantasy points last game, played 27 minutes with a 26% usage rate. And he scored 32, 45, 52, and 46 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Heat. So 3 of those 4 games would have got you over 5 times value. So I like Paul George here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Kristaps Porzingis from the Boston Celtics playing the Memphis Grizzlies, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Kristaps Porzingis averaging 36.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 36.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 7,500 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game. And Kristaps Porzingis has scored 41 and 38 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 29 and 31 minutes. I also like this pick because Kristaps Porzingis scored 51, 46, 26, and 41 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Grizzlies. So I like Kristaps Porzingis here versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position. Stud pick here, Nikola Jokic. He scored 82 and 78 fantasy points in his last 2 games. He's got a fantastic matchup here versus the Portland Trailblazers. And he's played pretty well versus the Trailblazers, put up 60 plus fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 games versus the Trailblazers. So super stud pick here, Nikola Jokic. Another stud pick, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's got a good matchup versus the Utah Jazz. He's on a back-to-back though, so I might prefer Jokic here because of that. But certainly Giannis can put up monster points in limited minutes. But moving down, if we want to go and save some salary here, let's take a look. Oh, okay. So if Rudy Gobert is going to sit with an ankle, we might want to play a guy like Karl Anthony Towns. I know I've picked Towns in the past and he hasn't, he's played pretty well, but I think he's going to play much better with Rudy Gobert playing limited minutes so he can get more usage. So take a look at Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Vikings playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, playing the Houston Rockets, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing centers. Karl Anthony Towns averaging 40.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 33 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. Projected at 39.6 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. He's 8,000 DraftKings salary, 300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221 points scored in this game. And Towns has scored 26, 49, and 48 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 35, 31, and 38 minutes. So if Rudy Gobert ends up playing limited minutes here tonight, or if he sits, then I think Karl Anthony Towns could have a monster night at only 8K salary here. So I like Karl Anthony Towns here versus the Houston Rockets. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.